Just be normal. It's a phrase tossed around like a casual suggestion. Like normal is something you can order off a menu. But who decides what normal is? And more importantly, who benefits from it? The normie is a figure at the center of the modern social tapestry. Neither too loud nor too quiet, not too different, not too deep, not too much. They blend in, fit in, slide into the group chat like a perfectly smooth pebble in a river of sameness. They're not the villain. They're not broken. They're not trying to stand out. They're just trying to live. But beneath the calm waters of the social archetype lies something fascinating, something both enviable and deeply revealing about what society rewards and what it silences. The term normie emerged from internet subcultures, where being normal was treated not as a compliment, but as a limitation. Normies were seen as the unremarkable majority, people who never questioned the mainstream, who enjoyed what everyone else enjoyed, followed trends without irony, and kept life comfortably on script. In this lens, a normie is someone who watches what's popular, thinks inside the box, avoids existential questions, and distrusts anything too abstract, too emotional, or too intense. But let's be fair, that's the outsider's definition. From the normie's own perspective, they're just stable. They're socially attuned, emotionally even, and largely unburdened by the relentless introspection that plagues the more complex types. They like what they like. They don't need to overanalyze it. And maybe there's power in that. Psychologists have long studied the human craving for belonging, and normies, whether consciously or not, have perfected the art of social acceptance. They tend to seek structure over chaos, prefer group consensus over dissent, avoid standing out too much, for better or worse, and align themselves with what is proven, popular, or safe. They are what the system wants. They are what capitalism markets to. Their desires are legible, their behaviors predictable. In a world of uncertainty, normies make sense. But psychological safety can sometimes become emotional complacency. When your identity is built around not rocking the boat, when does that become not really living? Being a normie comes with privileges. You're included. You're understood. You're rarely questioned. You don't have to defend your preferences or prove your worth through rebellion. But what happens when the cost of inclusion is self-abandonment? When your every choice is shaped by what's trending, what's popular, what's socially safe? What does it mean for your actual self? The version of you that maybe wants something different, but doesn't know if it's allowed. Normies don't just follow trends, they become them. And in that transformation, they can lose touch with their own desires, their own depths, their own weirdness. Every archetype has a shadow, and the normies is subtle, but unmistakable. When your sense of self is shaped by cultural consensus, your identity risks becoming shallow, easily swayed by whatever happens to be trending. Their self-worth, often unconsciously, is tethered to how well they fit in, making any form of rejection feel deeply destabilizing, even annihilating. And underlying it all is a quiet fear of authenticity, because anything too different, too raw, too real, threatens the safe, familiar order they've aligned their lives with. Their avoidance of conflict, confrontation, or discomfort often comes at the price of depth. They may struggle in relationships with more complex individuals, those who challenge societal norms, question power structures, or navigate intense emotions. To the normie, that kind of rawness is unnecessary drama. To others, it's simply being real. But let's not villainize the normie. In a world addicted to edge, outrage, and overexposure, normies are the steady hand on the wheel. They keep the machine running, remind us of routine, offer a sense of collective identity, and stabilize spaces that might otherwise spin into chaos. Normies aren't here to shock or provoke. They're here to remind us that life doesn't always have to be an existential crisis or an artistic performance. Sometimes a simple brunch, a steady 9 to 5, and a quiet Netflix night is enough. But what happens when a normie begins to question? It often starts small, a conversation that lingers longer than it should, a subtle hollowness after chasing yet another trend, a quiet voice that whispers in the background asking, "Is this really me?" What begins as a faint unease slowly becomes awareness, and in that moment, the script they've always followed starts to feel less like safety and more like confinement. That's when the journey begins, not a rejection of normalcy, but a redefinition of it. One where normal isn't based on external expectation, but internal truth. When a normie awakens, they become one of the most balanced forces in society. Rooted in structure, yet open to depth. Sociable, yet soulful. Secure, but no longer scripted. The normie is not boring. They are not brainwashed. They are not broken. They are simply what most people are, and there's something deeply human in that. But in every normie, there's a door to introspection, authenticity, and intentional living. Some never open it. Others crack it just enough to let the light in. Because normal is only limiting if you let it define you. So, if you're a normie, don't be ashamed. Just be curious. What's behind your habits? What's underneath the comfort? You might discover that what makes you normal is also what makes you real.